No, what
I
I'm
don't know,
asking
is it
is why
because
we
it's a
would pay
relative
more
of a board
money.
member? Is that why? Is that why
Absolutely
we're
not.
gonna do that?
It's actually because they do a really great job in our
I don't
cemetery.
disagree, and I wish they would have put the bid in, but they didn't.
They weren't aware of it, from what I understood.
Because
They
they
weren't
told
aware
us they couldn't do it for $500.
a year ago.
No.
A year ago, and yet we still had bids from all these other people, including somebody that was just at a place where Sam was having his truck fixed. That's how we found somebody. So I'm saying that if they helped us out in a pinch, if they're already
It
approved, we
doesn't
already
change
have
the
all their
fact that you're
paperwork,
not
and they're a
following the
lower
policy that
price.
you've accused the rest of us for doing.
Oh, okay,
all
so
along.
only we have to follow it, and you guys can just throw it out the window.
No.
That's what you're saying. Only we have to follow it. You guys mess the whole process up, and when we say this doesn't follow with our policy, and we end up having somebody that wasn't actually properly checked out because the policy wasn't followed. If the policy had been followed, we would have had a request for bids, which would have clearly outlined exactly
So
what we
that makes it okay
required.
to not follow it now?
Oh, it only counts when it's
Okay.
us. They helped us out.
Easy,
They have
easy,
a lower.
easy.
I'm fine. I'm
You don't have
explaining.
to yell, we're all
I'm
right
not
here.
yelling. I'm not yelling, okay?
Calm down.
They are a lower price. They've done a good job. They're already approved. We already have all of their paperwork, all of their insurance. We already have everything. We don't even have to go through a process. They helped us out when we needed them to, and they're a lower price. And you received a bid.
It's $20.
And it's not nepotism.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. Related to Charlie. How is that not nepotism?
I vote never
They're
whenever
Charlie's
there's anything,
Who?
you know, okay, you wanna get onto the Charlie thing. Here, let me share something.
Easy,
She-
easy,
she
we're
brought
talking
up
about
those
lawn.
things and-
Yeah, well, I'm gonna bring it up. So here's the thing, last year they bid $1,800, and let's be clear why. They bid $1,800 last year because they had to spray, they had to weed whack, and then they cut the grass. So let's compare apples to apples. This year, we didn't tell them none of that. So Mr. Davison calls them up and says, I'm in a pickle. Because Mr. Davison and I had a conversation. I said, this grass got to get cut. It's been cut in almost 3 weeks. So, and we received a nasty gram about it. So, he calls him up and he says, we can come and yeah, we will do this as a favor for $600. And that was a big favor. 3 weeks of grass and there was no hay piles out there. It looked good. So, you say a friend or a family of mine, I have never voted when it came.
I didn't bring it up, Lisa did.
No, you just said it's Charlie's family.
Yeah,
So get it straight. I have never voted when it came to anything.
Oh, so you didn't vote for the sexton, for the cemetery?
No, I didn't, if you go back and look in the minutes, because in my opinion, it's unethical for me to vote on anything that would pertain to my family. That's the way you do business, or your family. And so that's how people should do business. But here's the deal. You just made a comment about we have to follow the purchasing policy. So if we do, that means all the things on here, we didn't follow the purchasing policy, so we should adjourn the meeting and go home. Because it says you get 3 bids. We don't have 3 bids on painting. We don't have 3 bids on the door openers. We don't have 3 bids on anything in this stack.
And
No
nothing
tree
is sealed.
trimming, so why are we wasting
Yeah.
their time as well as ours?
Because I believe the painting comes to over $20,000, doesn't it? Over $20,000, and there's
We don't
a
follow the
single
policy?
solitary bid, and it's not sealed.
You 3 are in the office every day, and I would think, I would say, hey, let's just follow the rule. If purchasing says 3 bids, get 3 bids, Sam. Period.
Okay, so let me ask this, why does Sam have to get the 3 bids?
Well, if
I
we
mean,
knew
why can't
about it,
anybody
maybe we
do
could
it?
make phone calls,
mean,
like
who
I
got
did for the
who got
pest.
the on your door bid?
I asked for that bid last year.
But that's what I mean. I
And-
mean, there's no reason why you kids can't get bids too.
Well, there is.
I have, and I
You don't know what you're
do.
looking for
I-
bids for.
Yes, I agree.
So let's work
I have
on the lawn. Let's work on the lawn as we're looking here.
I would like to see the bid that you received, since none of them were sealed bids from the company that actually helped us out.
So I'll have a question for the attorney. If we accept the bid now, do I have to give all these other people that put in bids, when I advertise it in the paper, to have it in here at a certain time, even though it wasn't sealed, I have to start over?
I would say no. You can, I don't know why you just can't go with the bids. You had, how many bids you got for the last go around? Four?
We have 4 left
The,
from the one.
the one you chose couldn't meet the mustard, got the mustard as far as details. I would say just go back and revisit the 3 remaining, or 4 remaining, whatever it is, and pick which of the 4 you think is the best bid. Lower or not, you can just, you choose the best qualified bidder.
It's $20 more a month than the bid that, the guy bid that.
Yeah, no doubt, you probably chose the cheapest one, but now your next choice is $20 higher, so. But,
Well,
you
it's
know,
20 bucks higher than the bid that they don't want to bring in from the people that helped us out that are already qualified.
They didn't bid.
But it's more
They
than
didn't
20
bid.
bucks more.
Well, that answers your question, they didn't bid.
We got this.
All right,
Yes, Exodus. Got a great tone.
I did not ask him to bid, the guy that turned in a bid today. Even though it was in the paper, and
Well, you have a bid policy, and you follow the bid policy. When you get bids from June, you had bids, you took one. I
But
would
we
say,
didn't follow it from the beginning. That's why we had a special meeting in June, because in May they had
Bid
these
policy.
bids, and then we allowed an unsealed bid anyway in June.
So isn't the bid process already dead if it's unsealed? The whole policy's zero.
So
it's
just get the
square
grass
one.
cut.
by
Yeah.
law, you're not required to do bids anyways, it's a choice you make.
Well,
So
by policy approved unanimously by the board or something.
you can waive the policy and do what you want. I just thought it might be easier to just go let somebody who had already submitted a bid pursue the local process. So you're free to do the policy, just vote for somebody who wants to cut the grass.
I'll make a motion that we have Desired Lawn Care cut the bid for $500. They have all their paperwork in. They helped us out in a pinch. They're decent people, they do a great job. I will make that motion.
do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
It's a roll call vote.
Davidson,
No.
Cruz,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell.
Abstain.
Okay, so now the dead tree in section F. The bid is $950 to take it down and grind the stump. I have a gentleman that's gonna take the wood in 10-foot lengths. So that's why this bid is a little cheaper than most trees, is because he's not going to take the wood. He's going to grind up the leaves and the small branches, but the bigger stuff, he's gonna leave in 10-foot lengths for the guy to come and pick up.
Have you looked at that yourself, Sam?
The
It's-
tree,
It's
yes.
completely hollowed out in the bottom. It's completely hollowed out.
He's gonna cut the tree down and grind the stump out of there for $950.
So I would ask the question, when you go to enter the road and there's a tree on each side, take your pick, but take down one of those trees as well and see if he will do it for the same price. My motion would be to hire him to take down 2 trees. The one with the hollowed out center and the one that is one next to the other. So that when you turn onto the road, so
You're not threading the needle there.
So that's my
I'll
motion.
I'm sure he'll do it, so I'll second it.
Charlie, you made that motion, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna add a tree on the east side. Section F. And one tree. Now, a second, take a roll call.
Should we do a not to exceed or no?
Pretty much, if he's less than $2,000 to take down 2 trees, we'll put a dollar number.
Not to exceed 2,000.
No, I know he'll do it for the same price.
I'm just saying, This way we don't get caught in a pickle.
Right.
And we can proceed.
Not to exceed 2,000.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Alrighty. Cruz,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Davison.
Yes.
Well, we're still talking about trees, can I ask, since he's bringing a chipper in there, can we chip some of that brush that had to be cut down? And it's right there. It's- We have limbs that have fallen like this and brush out of those trees. And
Piled in the back.
it's getting, well, actually, it's not piled that far from where this is at. And see if maybe while he's there, what would he chip that? Because it's oak. It's not garbage stuff, it's good stuff.
We got a bid from him a year or so ago to chip it, the pile. And we determined that we would keep the pile pushed back and pile dirt on it so it just rotted away. I don't know if we got any dirt piled on it, but
Well, the
that's
problem-
a separate bid. I'll guarantee you he ain't gonna do that.
I'm just asking. Okay,
What about the pine trees next to the chapel? That's something that we could authorize the sexton to do, to just pull those out. They don't have a taproot. So. we
there's
should
5
be
that
able
were
to just-
voted to be removed.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't.
Yeah.
There's 3 on the west side.
And they're causing issues.
We're moving on to painting the exterior of the hall. So as previous comments went, we needed 3 bids on that. So I got 1 bid to, or no. I don't know how we got him.
This
No, I-
bid is from April 3rd.
Yeah, and because the hall is metal on the top, cement on the bottom, the bid consists of basically 2 different kinds of paint.
Yes.
And that does not include the roof, because he's getting a bid on if we decide to paint the roof. But the bid that's up there is to paint the outside of the hall, the 2 different materials. And if,
Question is about, if we're gonna paint the exterior of the building, should the windows that we look at replacing be replaced? Should the doors be done so that, it's kind of like building a house and don't put the foundation in first.
we gotta start somewhere. So I suggest we paint it, they'll tape off the windows, they'll tape off the doors. Actually, the bid I got for doors is not replacing the doors, it's just putting the openers on.
Understood, but again, this falls under the purchasing policy, so we're talking about that. We do need multiple bids and they need to be sealed. That's what the process is. This is a job, we're looking at $25,000. And we have a single bid from a single company
So,
that you initiated. We had asked to have a work session to talk about what needed to be done in the hall as a board, so we could all sit down and have that conversation. We have asked to have it added to the agenda. We have been denied every time. The last time we asked for it to be added to the agenda or to have a work session scheduled to discuss this, you said, we'll just have an email work session. So Charlie and I both sent in our ideas prior to the deadline you established, and you claimed you never received it. Nobody else ever talked about it, and the issue died, as is normally the case. We had asked to sit down and have these conversations. All of a sudden, you're now giving us in July a bid you got 3 months ago that we knew nothing about. So if you want people to help you get bids, then we need to follow the policy. We need to get sealed bids, and we need to do it the right way. This is not the right way.
good idea. I make a motion that trustee DeShano gets us 3 bids on painting the hall for.
No, I recommend we have a work session and work as a board. That is what we have been asking you to do. We have ARPA money that needs to be earmarked, and you won't even sit down and have a conversation about what is going to best serve this community, because you have to be in charge. You have to make the rules. You have to make the agenda. We don't get a say in anything. We've asked you to do this for 2 freaking years, to have a conversation about the outdated hall. Completely outdated. We've asked you to have these conversations. We suggested different things. You have poo-pooed everything that we have said, and on your timetable, you bring the stuff in, not following the policy that was unanimously approved, not speaking to anybody about it if you need help to get these bids, having no conversation whatsoever. So now you want to bring it in at the last minute when the ARPA money needs to be earmarked and do it with a single solitary bid. That is not good business practice. It's not a good usage of the people's money. Have a work session.
I make a motion that trustee DeShano gets us the 3 bids on painting the exterior of the hall.
I refuse to do that until we have a work session. We all need to talk about what the goals are with the people's money so that we don't lose it. We are sitting on over $400,000 of ARPA money still because we haven't sat down to have a conversation about what best serves the people of this community. Sit down and have a conversation. We've had successful work sessions before. Let's do it again.
There's no such thing as a work session when we all sit down.
Do you
It's a meeting.
disagree that the exterior doesn't need to be painted?
I disagree in piecemealing it when we have money to divide up. We've talked about fixing up the chapel. We've put it in the budget for 2 years now. Nothing has happened because there hasn't been a conversation. We voted to have the trees taken out. Nothing has happened because there hasn't been a
About
conversation.
painting the exterior of the hall.
This is
It
piecemeal.
needs to be painted, it needs to be updated. Does nobody agree with that?
It needs to be painted, but you know what? You don't go in and paint the inside of this room and then decide you're gonna tear the molding off the wall and put in new windows. You put in the new windows first, you make sure everything's just like you want it, then we paint.
Okay, so are you suggesting that we need to put in new windows and we should do that before we paint the exterior?
I already said that. I actually listed everything in that message. The exact order, I went out, I checked, and when you say, well, have Mrs. DeShano, I went out, I checked with Supreme Flooring, who's helped me when I redid churches. They have a product we can put over the floor, and then we can put a new floor in there. The light fixtures should be replaced, get those ballast out of there.
Okay, but I mean, are you saying that you can't paint the exterior unless you replace the windows first? Because I mean, we didn't do anything to the exterior of our house and we replaced all our windows, but we didn't redo the exterior. We were able to replace the windows without having to touch the exterior. So is that not possible?
I have a brick house, it's totally possible, but you know what? So we decide over there that there should be a place, instead of when I walk into a building, we're talking about the hall, let's do it. So I walk into a building, and I have chairs sitting there for 400 people. That's really appeasing to me. And then I have tables there for 400 people. Why don't we have a nice closet like every single hall? You go to any venue.
We're talking about painting the
That's
exterior.
right. So let me finish, please. Thank you. So we get to put a utility closet across the east wall because of how the building is configured. And so we have a place now, we open the doors, we have tables and chairs here, we have election equipment in this locker, and now nobody sees nothing when they walk in the building. The building looks nice. We have the interior done. Now you say, wait a minute, why do I have to do this? Because you take the windows out that are on the east side, so when you paint the building, it all looks nice. This is not the first rodeo. You do things with an order, and you don't just decide that, hey, I'm just going to go over there and I'm going to paint it.
Those tables and chairs have sat in that hall for 60-some years.
And you know what else?
You know what,
That
right
paneling
now-
has been up there for that long too. and
It's coming right off the walls.
And nobody wants to talk about that. We have asked to sit down and have a reasonable discussion about the order of operations and how far we can get on updating this building. It is embarrassing what that building looks like. It's embarrassing. And we could do something about it. We would increase our revenue if we did. All we have asked is to sit down and have a conversation. And instead what we get is complete refusal and then a single solitary bid to do something that is piecemeal. Why can't we sit down, as we've requested, and have a conversation and determine what the priorities are and how far this ARPA money can go toward that update, and also the monies that we approved to update the cemetery? That's never gotten off the ground either. We can
Okay.
sit down and have a conversation.
Have we contacted anybody else? Because I thought we had and nobody responded.
Well, I did contact one other person, and he never responded. This was the only one we got out of the two, but I'm sure that we can table the painting and that trustee DeShano can get us.
You are not assigning me extra work. Sit down and have a work session unless you are afraid.
How do you find this funny?
So-
whatever it takes. How do you find this?
Who's the
Oh, fun.
supervisor? Who's running this show?
Kelsey's right in front of you.
Why don't you go and do it? It's your
Jeez.
job.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
What
that's
is your
it.
job?
Come up with
Cause
one bid.
trouble?
Come up with
We're
one
all
bid.
cause trouble?
trustees. We're all
Are you the
trustees.
troublemaker here?
When it suits you, you're all trustees.
Yeah,
Exactly.
whatever it
Yeah.
takes.
Cause trouble.
Yep.
All right, we'll table the painting. We're gonna table the glass, the bay glass to put in the automatic openers because we don't have 3 bids. We have a pay increase policy. You all got a copy of that policy. So I gave you all a copy of it.
Why don't we follow it, Sam? I do have that question, because I asked the question plainly when I went and was told that I would moderate the budget meeting, and I asked, is anybody getting paid raises? And I was told, no. I was told no.
That's right.
And now, 3 months, a quarter into this financial year, with no adjustments to make sure there's enough money to compensate, we're gonna give pay raises to this staff, but we pay the fire department lowest paid firefighter $12.50 an hour, which to me is,
We, as the board, them pay raises come from the fire department.
you know
to
what?
us.
At $12.50 for a firefighter, that's not that's an insult.
So we have an appropriations
Why did the,
policy that actually dictates how things are supposed to be done with the budget. And even this policy that you're just now showing us says that pay raises occur in February. Our budget year starts in April. And yet 2 years in a row, we've had pay raises come in for the office staff only months after the budget year started. Even though we asked about it during the budget talks. The budget should be delivered to board members earlier, so we're not under the gun to approve. As a matter of fact, this year, because of some issues, we didn't actually even approve our budget until the 2nd of April, I believe, even though it started on the 1st of April, because everything was done so last minute. What we need to do is actually, as you suggested almost 3 years ago, we need to look at the employee handbook, and we need to have those policies as part of it, update that handbook, and actually make it a requirement that we follow this, so that in April of each year, April 1st, when our new fiscal year starts, that's when a raise starts, and everybody can anticipate that if they earned a raise, they're gonna get a raise that's gonna start at the beginning of the fiscal year. This is how business does it. Why can't a municipality follow the same general rule? As I mentioned before, I'd like to see a copy of the employee handbook. As I'd asked before, I asked for a digital copy of it. I was told that didn't exist, and I was never given a paper copy after I submitted my changes as you requested, and it was never again discussed. So I would like to see that, and I do think that we still need to have conversation about that. Because the way that this policy is written is really not even worth the paper that it's on.
Okay. So we'll table the pay increase policy. The building inspector. I have 4 applicants. I would like our current building inspector to meet with us to go through those applications to decide, and then he can answer the questions about a building inspector for us and how the 4 applicants
measure up?
and he can only be here on Monday afternoons and Wednesday afternoons.
So this would be a special meeting, but it'd be a closed session since it's dealing with employee issues, right?
So we just need a date for a Monday. Like he said, right after lunch, 1 o'clock or so would be fine, or Wednesday, 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, afternoon, and to go through the 4 of them.
My nearest availability would be, I believe, July 24th. that's a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we can do it on, does 2 o'clock work, or you wanna right at 1?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, we probably two. There's only 4 applications.
Okay.
And then I'll make copies of all 4 of them and get them to you. And so does the 24th work for the rest of you at 2 o'clock? And I'll confirm it with Dave. 2 o'clock. Here.
And that will be posted, but the only thing that'll be out is a closed session, so.
If I could, what would be the purpose of the closed session?
Because it's dealing with employee stuff, with personnel,
Well,
review that.
what do you, I understood, listening to the conversation, you're reviewing employment applications. You can only go to closed session if the applicant requests a closed session.
When, I have a question for the board. I would like to have a closed door on the chief issue. And
That's
maybe the same day or whatever, or sooner,
No,
or...
I can't do it the same day because this will take a couple hours.
Could we do the chief issue at 1 o'clock? 1 to 2, the chief issue?
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Would that be sufficient time frame or sufficient amount of time, or no? Would an hour possibly take care of it, or no?
Good. Speak fast, ask questions fast.
I would think if we're coming together for that, might as well get it all done at the same time.
So 1
Just-
o'clock?
Just for clarity though, just to make sure you don't step in the pile of goop. You can go in a closed session to review and consider the contents of an application for employment or appointment to a public office if the candidate requests that the application remain confidential. However, except as otherwise provided in subsection, all interviews by a public body for employment or appointment to a public office shall be held in an open meeting. The exception is for university presidents, it doesn't apply here. So interviews have to be in public, you can review applications in private.
But we're reviewing applications.
Right.
Well, you're fine, I'm just
So
indicating.
that would be private.
Oh, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I'm just indicating,
Okay, I thought,
interviews have to be in open.
yeah, we're not letting them come in, we're just making sure,
Okay, all
do
right.
they meet the criteria that Coquitlam
Okay,
Township
just
is
be
gonna
clear.
lay out?
Right.
Right, so it can be a closed session then as far as us reviewing the
To
application.
review and consider the contents of an application if the applicant requests a closed session. But the interview's gotta be in public.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
But no applicant will be here in that
Yeah,
regard.
that's fine, just be clear.
Does yours need to be a closed session?
His would be.
I would prefer that it was.
So it is
Personal
closed
issues,
session.
So,
That's why I'm asking.
So at 1 o'clock, it's closed session.
1 o'clock closed
Is
session.
1 o'clock all right then for that day to meet at the fire department? Is that everybody's schedule? All right, obviously there's a sheriff's report.
No, there's not.
Oh. All right, he usually gives it to me the day of the meeting, and I did not get one, so I don't have a sheriff's report. Anything else?
So the fire department meeting is 1 PM on July the 25th?
24th.
24th.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And the second meeting, there's going to be